let's shift focus. This is our top story because it concerns a lot of our viewers. It affects everyone. We're talking about big relief to the specially abled flyers. Now, what's happened is that aviation regulatory body DGCA has amended the rules for specially abled passengers. The amended rules say that airlines can no longer deny boarding to any specially abled person on their own without a doctor stating that the passenger's health may deteriorate. After taking the medical opinion, if the airline decides not to carry a passenger, it will be required to inform the reasons in writing. The amendment of rules comes after massive uproar over IndiGo recently denying boarding to a specially abled child in Ranchi, for which the airline was fined by DGCA. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by a very special guest on the broadcast. I'm joined by Dr. Deepa Malik, President, Paralympic Committee of India. She's Paralympic Games silver medalist, Khel Ratna, Padma Shri, Arjuna Awardee. Ma'am, thank you so much for making time and speaking to Mirror Now. How do you view this development? Do you think this was highly expected or much awaited relief for specially able flyers?
It has really come as a sigh of relief for those of us whose lifestyle depends on some assistive aid or the other, because we are living with some physical challenge in our body. But that doesn't mean that, it is very ironic that my whole pursuit of ability beyond disability began when it dawned on me when I was taking a flight almost 2 decades ago. And I was told to fill an indemnity bond which read wheelchair patient. And I said, I have recovered from my tumor illness. I have a lifelong paralysis. That does not mean I have done my occupational therapy. I have learned the new body and I am managing this body very beautifully. And still I'm being called a patient. And that's when I joined the world of sports and I went into adventure sports, just to change the mindset. So automatically, the moment a person is seen using a wheelchair, it is taken for granted that the person is in disability. And today, I think the way para sports and para athletes are coming forward, sitting on wheelchairs and using different assistive aids, have clearly projected that we have now become the ambassadors of Fit India movement. So we are no longer those patients and we should not be perceived as that. So this is a very welcome move that nobody, suffering with a kind of, I won't say suffering, but living in a disability. Suffering would be a very wrong word, sorry. They will not be denied access to boarding a flight. And in view of the recent incident that triggered it, I'm also happy that having a doctor certify will also ease out a lot of confusion for the airlines people also. However, my concern here right now is that I hope due to any such confusion and non-availability of a doctor, will the doctor be 24/7 on the airport? People in disability should not be missing their flights just because they have been considered unwell. And if our doctor certification is required, then what will be the actual process? Another concern that comes to my mind is, will we be asked to report way ahead of time? Because then that itself is going to be a challenge for a person in disability, because you are sitting on a different wheelchair given by the airline. You are not sitting on your regular wheelchair and moving and shifting to the seat of the aircraft, which is not totally customized to your body and the kind of so if we want to reduce the time of travel as much as possible. So how quick will be the availability of the doctor? This is definitely a great move, and kudos to initiative of our Civil Aviation Minister. But my point of concern and advice here is the availability of the doctor. The reporting time should not increase for people with disabilities, because that will further enhance discomfort.
Right. Ma'am, I'm so glad that you referred to your own experiences while welcoming this move. I want to understand from you, are there any more things, any more steps that the government can take in, that our airports can take in order to be more specially abled friendly, flyers friendly? Because every now and then we keep seeing a lot of specially abled athletes or flyers or people or the common public going to social media and raising their concerns about the kind of treatment they are meeting out or the kind of inconvenience they have as far as our public platforms are concerned, as far as our public spaces are concerned. Anything else that the government or the airports or public spaces should do at the moment, immediately?
So happy that it is only now that a simple tweet by a citizen, a common citizen, has been heard and taken so seriously by the government, and immediate actions have happened. This is the true Azadi Amrit Mahotsav, and this is my new India, and I'm very proud of it. I would also like to add here that the way there is a regular check on the aircraft, the fitness of the aircraft. Similarly, the wheelchair should also undergo a fitness test every week, because sometimes the kind of wheelchairs are provided are either broken, or their brakes are not working, or the footrest is loose. So these things should also be looked at, and there has to be a sensitization in the language, because normally whenever we are transferring, not all airlines and not all the times, and I'm not saying that it happens every time, but then there should be a strict training of people who are handlers of persons with disability to use the correct language. Uh, Even as recent as my very recent travel, mm, I I was being referred as wheelchair. Wheelchair को खड़ा कर दीजिए, wheelchair को
Oh
board कर
God,
दीजिए,
yes, that sounds
wheelchair
appalling.
को उधर ले जाइए. And I said, excuse me, is the wheelchair that has bought the ticket, or is it Deepa Malik that has bought the ticket?
Hmm.
Who are you going to board, the wheelchair or the passenger? Either call me a wheelchair passenger or call me a wheelchair guest on board. Don't just call me a wheelchair. So, and types of wheelchair. There also has to be sensitization, because now the prosthetics, wheelchairs that people are using, there is a lot of technological development, and there are batteries, different type of attachments, sensors in biomechanic artificial limbs. So the security people and the cargo people have to be very, very sensitized that these are the equipments, and they should have a proper arrangement of security check for that. It should also not get embarrassing at the security counter. And at the same time, I always make a plea whenever I'm submitting my wheelchair that this is the 50% of my body part. Please don't use it, treat it as a luggage or just another cargo. This is part of my body. This is something which gives me mobility. So the handling of assistive aids should also be done very, very, great attention, and with a lot of affection and love for that equipment, because that is part of my body. It is extension
Yes.
of my body.
Yes, and it gives you strength. That it's like you said. I'm so glad you put it so beautifully, Deepa ma'am, and it's a privilege to have you on the broadcast. Thank you so much for your time, and I really hope that those in power and those who are handling specially able people in public places are watching this broadcast to learn a thing or two from what you're saying, because it is really important. Sensitization is very important. This awareness is very, very important. I'm so glad you could make time, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.